So I got another response to one of my YouTube videos challenging objectivism. Let me read it to you. It is from Henry Allen Lodmilk. Hope I got that right, Henry. Stopped watching at, per objectivism, you have no good, reliable emotions or instincts. You need to read Rand and Peikoff again. For a rational person, their emotions are an important clue. It's important information. It's not sufficient information to reach a conclusion, but it's important information. So this is what objectivists do to me all the time. They hear I challenge it. They think I'm wrong about objectivism, and as Mr. Lodmilk tells me, stop watching. They stop watching, they stop reading. They don't give me, I probably say that about 30 seconds into the video. They won't let me prove my point. They won't let me give the quotes. They just automatically hear, oh, she's wrong. Okay, Henry, this is your view about how emotions work. This was not Ayn Rand's view. This is the exact issue with objectivism. She shuts down all those emotional cues. Emotional repression is built right into objectivism. Now, in this video, I'll give you some quotes. Now, here's the thing. I can't give all quotes all the time in all videos. I have to put them somewhere. I have to write an entire book. I have to put an entire website together. I can't put them out all the time. And so objectivists do that. They take one video where I say one thing and she's wrong. You're wrong about your own philosophy. So let's dive into what Ayn Rand had to say, some of her quotes. Now, in the Objectivist Ethics, I want you to reread the Objectivist Ethics. What Ayn Rand had to say. I don't care what Leonard Peikoff had to say. I don't. That's the other thing objectivists do. Oh, Leonard Peikoff clarified this somewhere in some blog podcast somewhere. I don't care. This is what objectivism is formally, and the entire system is built around a suspicion of natural, authentic, pre-wired emotions. So this is how Ayn Rand opens the Objectivist Ethics. Is ethics the province of whims, of personal emotions, social edicts, and mystic revelations, or is it the province of reason? So right away she says, ethics is not whims. She calls them whims. She demotes emotions right away as whims of personal emotions. We're going to put all that stuff on the back burner. We're going to investigate it with reason. So right away, all that stuff is put on the back burner. And so then she goes on to define what human nature itself is, whatever that is. That's always a power play, to define what human nature itself is. Now, if you read this article, The Objectivist Ethics, she goes on and on about how your emotions can be all wrong. They can be sadistic, they can be nihilistic, they can be irrational. Now, and look at some of the examples she gives. She gives the example of hot rod drivers. They get mindless kicks out of destruction. Their emotions are wrong. They're guiding them wrong. Ayn Rand has you going in and programming your emotional mechanism to be right. The mind completely dominates the inner world. Here's Rand's quote, the one that I'm constantly challenging. Man is born with an emotional mechanism, just as he is born with a cognitive mechanism, but at birth both are tabula rasa. It is man's cognitive faculty, his mind, that determines the content of both. She goes on to say that the emotional mechanism is like a computer that has to be programmed. Your mind programs it. Your mind tells your emotional mechanism how you want it to behave. She explicitly says, and I write this at my website, Ex-Objectivist.com, I have exact quotes. You need to tell it what will make you happy or sad, what you will desire or fear, what will bring you joy or pain. And between her and Nathaniel Branden, they have all sorts of things that could irrationally bring you happiness. Some examples are the hot rod driver getting mindless kicks. That's bad. You shouldn't take pleasure in that. You should take pleasure in productive work, because then it will go toward your objective survival. Some other examples are family picnics, certain types of colors. And of course, she has elaborate thoughts on what is good music, what is good art. And if you like certain things, she directly says, you lack self-esteem, you're irrational, you're full of fear. She has a psychological appraisal for all sorts of things based on what your natural emotional reaction to life events are. So I have more quotes like this at Ex-Objectivist.com. Her explicit view is that the inner world is like clay that you mold. Now, she lambasts people who say that about the outer world, that the outer world is like clay or malleable, that they don't understand objective reality. But she does the exact same with the inner world. She specifically says your subconscious will either drive you unless you drive it. It is otherwise a shapeless piece of clay. She wants you to go in and mold it. And so your natural pre-wired emotions are potentially wrong and need to be reprogrammed. This is emotional repression. Those natural things that are bubbling up, that are trying to tell you something, are pushed down. Her explicit quote in the Objectivist Ethics is, you use rationality in all waking hours for all decisions. It's exactly what the Objectivist Ethics is. It's rationality. The mind dominates the heart. Now, it's hard to pin her down because Ayn Rand does a lot of tap dancing and a lot of, she puts on a great sell. There's the Objectivist sales pitch, and then there's actual objectivism. I'm trying to for you to see actual objectivism. Maybe I can get my point more across better if I just quote other people and what they said about the objectivist movement. This is Nathaniel Branden. This is in his book, My Years with Ayn Rand. Now, Nathaniel Branden made objectivism what it is. He put together his lecture series. He got it off the ground. Objectivism wouldn't be what it is without Nathaniel Branden. He coined the very term objectivism. This is what he said in retrospect about his lecture series. What we said, in effect, was, be irrational 24 hours a day and in every issue. There's no excuse not to be. The root of all evil is evasion. Value your own moral perfection above all things. And then he said, this is what they would have never heard from us. What they would not have learned from us was the importance of listening to their own inner signals, those messages from the organism that are not encoded in conceptual language. This is my entire challenge to objectivism right here. It's very hard to get objectivists to see based on the tap dancing and the philosophical proofs that Ayn Rand puts forward. By the way, her articles are very scant. For the topics she covers, emotions, happiness, the subconscious, she puts it together in like less than 20 pages. There's an enormous amount of thought out there that would challenge Ayn Rand and her explicit view that man is born tabula rasa. That is the exact premise of tabula rasa. You're born blank, without good, reliable instincts, without any knowledge whatsoever. Jungian psychology takes this to task. It takes to task the idea that the cognitive mind is blank. It's not. It's born with natural images. That's something you would have to actually study humans for, and to see his work, and to actually give a person more than 30 seconds to explain themselves, which is all objectivists ever give me, as well as Mr. Henry Allen Laudmilk stopped watching at, per objectivism, you have no good, reliable emotions or instincts. I would have to go in and see when I said that, but I'm guessing within a minute of speaking. So this is what I run into constantly with objectivists. They immediately shut me down based on the slightest little thing that they think is wrong. They don't understand their own philosophy. And they won't give me the courtesy to explain it. And they go in and they download all my stuff and they leave me negative comments and on and on and on. So I'll probably end this video here. My website is Ex-Objectivist.com. I have lots of quotes that disprove Rand, and in my book, Moral Bias of Objectivism, will go in and completely explain how Ayn Rand expects the cognitive mind to program the emotional mechanism. How are we even doing that? What are all of her views? I can't do this within 30 seconds. Objectivists, the great beacons of reason that they are, will never give me more than that. Thanks for watching.